Very good. How you going, Pete?
Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good to see the Eels going good. Because when the Eels are going good, Peter Wynn scores going well. That's good. Pete, 1978, you joined the Parramatta Eels. Yep. Why the Parramatta Eels?
In those days, there were no managers, you know, and as a kid growing up in the country, we only ever got one game of footy on the TV every week, and my brother and I always played in the backyard. He was Billy Smith and I was Graham Langlands. We always wanted to come to Sydney and play rugby league, and as it all progressed, went through all the grades, stepped up all the representative football, and then all of a sudden had to make a decision. Played country with my brother, and then got opportunity to play with 9 clubs, and not having a manager, you had to make the decision. And I got a phone call from Terry Fernley. And Terry Fernley came down, and straight away, I just fell in love with the guy. He said he'd signed Artie Beetson from the Roosters to come to Parramatta, and he'd had Nick Cronin there, Ray Price, all these great players. So I signed, and ended up spending 12 years there.
Good timing.
It was good timing. Yes, very
now,
good.
Through your playing career, you're a teacher, high school teacher. You actually taught Mark Geyer. Is that a failing?
I was going to say one of my claims to fame, actually, and big MG.
Did you ever set an example for MG? Because
he's not good at maths. I taught him maths. Okay.
Well, he's also not good at being nice to people. This is some of MG's good stuff. He's punting against the mighty Chooks. Bang. Oh. Did you teach him that?
He didn't learn that at high school. No, not
Marshall. This is him playing over in Super League. Yeah, I'll just get that in here.
Is that high?
No, that was okay. He's coming over here. Twice. Was he like this at school?
Tough days, yeah, but wow, I can tell you.
And who could forget
this one? Yeah.
He was just chopping blokes down.
Mate, you went to the Brownies not at New South Yard.
I know, he does. Yeah, he does. Speaking about teachers, you've been around a few clubs. Who's the smartest player you've come across?
Probably someone like Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
Someone I looked up to. As soon as he came to the Roosters, he gave me so much guidance and taught me a lot about the game, and I'm now passing that down to the guys at the Eels.
Who's the dumbest?
I don't know.
You got anyone? Sean Kenny down.
Winnie, in 1981, Jack Gibson arrives at Parramatta, and over the next few years, the history of the club will change forever. What was he like as a coach and also a man?
The thing about Jack, he was an ex-footballer as well. He played with the Roosters, he played with Western Suburbs, played in a few tough grand finals. He also played for New South Wales, so we knew straight away he had a lot of brains about the game of rugby league. Plus, he'd coached the Roosters to a couple of grand finals. So when he came to the club, Parramatta were like on the cusp of something great. And he was able to deliver. He had a presence about him, Jack. And the thing about Jack, he always got a message across without saying too many words. I was saying to Matty early, like, before the 83 grand final, Jack said, look, we're going to do a kick-off drill. I want Mick Cronin to do is kick the ball as high as you can, so come straight down on the 22. So we all got there, Crow kicks it, we raced down, sure enough, it was a perfect kick that came down. I think Steve Sharp got it. Jack says, we'll do that again one more time, get it right. So we all go back to the halfway line. Crow kicks again, the ball goes up, comes down, we all get down. And out of the corner, I heard Jack say to Crow, he said, do you reckon you could follow the players up the field yourself, if it's not too much trouble?
Mate, he and his lifelong mate and assistant, Ron Massey, who they worked as a combination, a coaching combination. Not just big figures in rugby league, they were huge Sydney identities. How did they work together? Pete?
I think thinking about that, Mass always did the videotape with Jack after a game, and he's always tipping Jack about what was going on with the individual play, both on the field and off the field. Jack was our coach. That's it, black and white. Jack was the Parramatta coach, and Mass was his offside. As they have the assistant coaches now, I think Massey fitted that slot and fitted it so well. Yeah, right. Very streetwise, very smart guys, and same thing, gave you good tips.
83, you win the Parramatta won 3 in a row. Unbelievable. 81, you don't play. 82, you come off the bench. 83 is your year. Is that your highlight?
Yeah, that was a great mate. I mean, 81, I was sat in the grandstand. I did my knee, and Jack and Mass got me going down getting the pies at half time. It's the only job I had in that grand final. Then 82, got to start off the bench. But 83 was something special because it was a tough year, had a few injuries, and then to get the opportunity to play that game was really special.
Do you know, something I see this photo all the time when you see Bob Hawke with Jack. Jack's got the fur coat on. When you had probably the most charismatic Prime Minister in Australian history looking up, who looked diminutive and unimportant next to Jack Gibson, showed you the presence of Jack.
A huge presence, didn't he? That actually funny there in the dressing shed after that game, I sprayed Hawkey with a bottle of champagne, about 3 years ago, he came into the shop and came out of the office, and I said, Jack, I said to Bob, did you ever find that bloke who sprayed that champagne? I think I know him.
That's good.
Speaking of grand finals, Fergo, 2018 last year with the Roosters, where does that rank for you in career highlights?
Yeah, I think it's right up there, if not the best thing that I've done in the game. It was such an amazing ride last year. Unlucky not to score here, but yeah, it was just the whole year was so surreal, and you look back on it now, and it's tough to get through a year and then obviously win the comp. So
yeah. Your form was through the roof. You had one of your best seasons individually. You then leave to Parramatta. Why did you choose the Eels?
The reason why I chose the Eels was in 2017 they come fourth, I think it was. And the next year, obviously a lot of changing with the rules and stuff, and just didn't really suit their game plan. And I sort of thought I could add some value there, and ended up going over to Parramatta. And I think we're going pretty good at the moment. We've still got a few things to work on, but just trying to get a full 80-minute performance together as a group, and you're trying to build towards something in the finals.
Boys, let's talk about State of Origin. Pete, you played fabulous State of Origin. You got man of the match game 1 1985. Back in those days, State of Origin football, what were your memories of it?
Look, that was the next level. I mean, as any player can tell you, all you want to do is wear that blue jersey for New South Wales, And that year, Terry Fernley took over as coach, and Steve Morton was the captain. And we had our first meeting at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and the first word that Terry said was, we've got an opportunity here to do something that no other New South Wales team has done. I mean, New South Wales have lost 80, 81, 82, 83 and 84, and that was more or less embedded in everybody's mind. So when we went up north to Queensland, we beat them at Lang Park for the first game.
Yep.
The second game was back at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Full house. Terry called us into the room before the game. He said, it's up to you boys now. When you're in the dressing shed, everybody's pumped. Like Blocker was there. Crusher, Cleal, Turvey, Mortimer, Brett Kenny, Eric Grath, all the boys, But when we got to the game, we led 12-0. Those Queenslanders, they come back and head this 14-12, And you looked around the blokes you're playing with, and all of a sudden it was on the line, and every one of those guys stood up and got the job done. That was, to me, that was so special. Winning the game was special, but the actual fact everybody lifted themselves to make that effort to win the game.
Talking about Queensland coming back, Fergo, this year, the series, and you come in game 3, and Freddie brings you back to the fold, and you're instrumental in winning the series, that last play. Did you have fears a couple of years ago that your Origin career was over, Blake?
Yeah, I think obviously my actions in 2017, I think it was, were probably the wrong thing to do, and I obviously had to go away and work on a few things in my life, and I felt like the way that I reacted from that, from missing selection 2018 and even game 1 this year, probably gave me an opportunity to come play in game 2 and game 3. So, I think, you always never give up hope, but you always got to be prepared that if you do get the opportunity, you'll go with both hands. And I'm just happy that we got the result for New South Wales.
I just want to pull the curtain back on the show a little bit. We're talking beforehand and how significantly you've turned your life around, Blake. And you said that you're really enjoying the leadership role now at Parramatta and talking to those young guys, and it's just credit to you, mate. I think it's just an absolute credit to you. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, good on you. You're involved in a great finish there for Origin. As we look at some of the great finishes, you as yourself try scoring, the first one, this is for the Canberra round 22. The ability as wingers now to score these tries is amazing.
Got hair there.
There's another one here, round 10 again for the Roosters, 2017. But just the ability to score, and then round 18, 2018 for the Roosters again. Like, do you practice these sort of finishes, jumping and putting it down?
Not really.
There's so many times where you think wingers, there's no way they're going to score, but somehow they're...
I think it's just opportunistic, Obviously, you want to do what's best for your team, and if there's an opportunity that arises, you've got to take it with both hands, score the try, and hopefully you win the game.
You used to defend a bit like that.
Opportunistic. But you played with some of the greatest players who've ever played rugby league at Parramatta through that. Who's your greatest teammate? If you had to pick one to play for your life, who'd you...
You put me on the spot now, and I'm great mates with Bob O'Reilly and Paul Mears, but I think if I think about the Parramatta back line, you go through Eric Grath, Steve Ella, Brett Kenny, Mick Cronin, Peter Sterling and Ray Price. That was a nucleus. I mean, most of those guys were local juniors, and they're all one club men. They didn't go anywhere. But I think Mick Cronin, he was rock solid. He started playing Test football in, I think, 1973. So when he arrived at Parramatta in 1977, he already had 4 or 5 years as a Test player.
Yep.
When Jack came along, Cronin just went to another level. He was a solid player. The other thing about it too, when Mick Cronin had the responsibility of kicking for touch, he had the responsibility of kicking off. He had the responsibility of kicking goals as well. So that sort of like cooled things down. And Edgy was able to go around and talk to us guys, and so we all knew what was going on. He never rushed anything, Cronin. One thing about the bloke's very cool, but big second row type bloke out in the centres, palming off, offloading all day long.
Yeah.
I think Cronin had the stature. He's got a lot of integrity about the man as well.
What about your brother Graham? Yeah, you guys
Graham Wynn.
Graham Wynn, yeah. I mean, was there a healthy rivalry throughout your career, you two blokes?
Yeah, we grew up together, as you could imagine. So we played with each in the same team, under 18s at Werris Creek. Actually, one thing comes to my mind: they had the Northern Division selections, and I used to always wear number 13 for Werris Creek. He wore number 11, but before the game they gave me 11, him 13. They picked number 13. He got picked. I got left on the sideline. He never said, "Oh, that's my brother." He took the jersey.
Mate, believe me, it happened to me with the immortal thing.
But everything upset me too. He won that grand final in '79. That was a bit hurt.
Yeah.
Hey, Fergie, what about your relationship with Chop, your cousin? Has there been a bit of a mentor for you over the years?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, when times get tough, he's always there to lean on, and he's such a nice guy outside of the boxing ring, and obviously he seen me boxing with some hair, but he's been someone that I look up to and someone that sort of guides me in the right way.
How tough was that, like the training and the boxing and all that, compared to rugby league?
Oh, well, I stopped. I quit fight. Like I was going to fight, and then I wasn't going to fight over like 4 times in that. So I wasn't really too dedicated. But if I had my time over,
training, yeah,
it's pretty tough. If I had my time over, I'd definitely do it again.
Maybe fight Gal. Gal's always looking for an opponent.
Yeah, mate, he's always keen for a fight and an urn. Mate, Pete, finally, mate, the sports store. Could I just ask you, if I don't score there,
You'll never score.
there you go.
Good on you, Pete.
Fantastic. Nice work, Fergo.